These are some figurines that were recently done by our good friend in
South Africa.
South Africa.
Let's go walk and meet my friend.
Hawaii has arrived. My goodness.
How you doing?
Come in, everybody. Whoever's following him.
Well, is this going to be a real quick video? Okay,
You're stepping into my memorabilia area.
Okay, real quick. Who are you? And where are we at? Where are we at?
You're watching, you're hearing Bob Nolan, Dana Point, California.
Okay.
Third generation Californian. If it's cold, I don't want to go.
So pretty much, you not only have English trumpeters, you have hollycroppers, but besides,
We have about 7 or 8 different breeds of pigeons. Yeah. We've got giant Hungarian house pigeons, Pomeranian powders that belong to Kathy Johnson that are on this property. I have the English trumpeters, my number 1 favorite, and then I have Norwich croppers, holly croppers, got flying flights and racing homers for feeders, and I've got some memorabilia birds from Brad Childs, the Danzig high flyers that he brought into this country, and 1 pair of turbits from Donovan White as a memorial, and I had pairs of tipplers from Bill Pensum. So I keep a few pairs that are memorabilia of friends that are no longer with us.
Oh, great, great. So this particular video is about the collection. Memorabilia,
Yeah.
Not only paintings, but what else? When you talk about collector's items or memorabilia, what is there, like categories? Is just paintings, prints, statues?
Well, you know,
cups?
like most people that start with collecting, they start with maybe a trophy or a prize or something, and then they branch out. And when you've been at a hobby over 50 plus years like I am, you can see a lot of branches all around the house, be it paintings, prints, statues, figurines, ribbons, what have you. If it has to do with pigeons, and I like it, I've collected it. You're seeing the results of over 50 years of collecting. That was one of our favorite shows there. That was the second biggest Grand National of all time at Ontario. And that painting is from my dear friend Sherry Beadle Owen, who recently passed away.
So this is your entryway. You want to show everybody?
Yeah, this is an entryway into the house.
Okay.
This is an antique cabinet that belonged to one of my family relatives. I'm going to lead you into the living room area. Here's an M. Frank Cook copy, not an original, but
Okay, what's the difference between original copy print and
an
lithograph?
original is only one, but this is what we call our canvas transfer.
Oh.
It's not on paper, it's on canvas, and you can see the little cracks in the canvas, etc. This particular painting, the original, was sold for $5,000 to a breeder in Germany. The original is in Germany right now.
And who's the artist?
There's a few of the awards I've accumulated over the years.
No, but who was the artist of this particular swallow?
That's M. Frank Cook,
M. Frank Cook.
the famous M. Frank Cook. This over here is one of my most treasured awards. This was just given to me at the last pageant of pigeons. It's called the Tom McCaig Court of Honor. And
for those who don't know Tom, who's Tom and Who is it?
Yeah.
To you? Who's Tom?
One of the reasons I treasure that McCaig Court of Honor so much is the other people that have awarded it or been awarded it are Wendell Levi, Frank Hallman, Karl-Heinz Solfrank, Jim Jenner, Dick Hammer, some of the real, and John Hepner, some of the real contributors to our hobby over the last, 75 years.
Okay. Congratulations.
This here is a gift to me from Clint Messerschmidt and John Oakes. It is a copy of the famous Diane Jackie Pageant of Pigeons English Trumpeter Champions. The original is over 25 feet long, and each year it's put up at the Pageant of Pigeons to show the champions all the way from 1950 right up here to 2022.
Is there any of your birds up here?
Diane paints the champions from photographs, so it's what the birds actually look like, not what an artist's conception would be of.
Any of yours on this?
Yes, several.
Oh, cool. Okay. That's a nice one.
This painting here was presented to me by Zuhair Hachari of Bahrain, and it was painted by the royal artist to the King of Bahrain. These are some of the trophies that I've won, statues of English trumpeters.
Slippers in, Ken?
These?
No. Take off the shoes or leave the shoes on?
You don't need to take them off.
Okay.
This is a wall of some of my favorite paintings, prints. You've got Holly Croppers from John Lenting, a Wollston Holmes English trumpeter of 1850 vintage, a Gary Romig cover from the recent NPA Quarterly, a Romig standard ideal of a house pigeon, and one of my all-time favorites is my last pageant champion of black English trumpeter that was painted from a photograph by Jacob Rewalski in Germany.
Did he have a name?
That bird was not named, no. It had a band number, and that was it. But what I particularly admire about that painting is the detail work, even the veins of the feathers in the muffs, the detail and the hours that went into that painting done. But that's the one of a kind. That's an original. That's the original.
Wow. Okay.
This painting up here at the top has a special place in my heart because I was asked to judge a show in Australia about 2012, I believe it was, somewhere around in there. And after the show was over, I had the opportunity to visit an older gentleman who was pushing 85 at the time, and one of his proudest possessions was a painting of these breeds that was done in about 1890. So you can see the thin neck on the swallow and the head of the Jacobin not yet covered and what have you. But anyway, he took me into his trophy room and showed me this painting, which he said was his proudest possession. And due to his age, I thought, well, maybe I could pry this out from him. And I offered him a considerable amount of money, but he said, no, I'm going to die with this painting. So I said, do you mind if I take a photograph of it? He said, no. So I took a photograph of it, and I came back to the United States, and I asked my dear friend Samantha Wendell to do a copy of this painting of the breeds of about 1890. And so she made a copy almost absolutely identical of the original that's in Australia. So every time I look at that, I think of the great times that I had judging in Australia. This is another one of my favorites. This is a Gary Romig Machinero powder. Once again, there's excellent detail work on that.
Do you have this breed? Not yet.
I did, but I don't have any now.
And is this one of yours? This is Gary's also.
That's also a Romig, one of his better English trumpeters.
What was that?
This is a early winner of mine. This is an English trumpeter of 1970.
Mr. Tiger?
Tiger Prince is the
Tiger
name of
Prince,
that bird. He was a two-time pageant champion.
Yeah, this is a photograph.
This is a photo.
Oh, cool.
This up here is a copy of the famous M. Frank Cook Doveland, which is now residing in the Sol Frank Pigeon Museum in Germany. Biggest pigeon painting ever done, 6 feet by 8 feet, I believe. The frame alone on that picture was valued at $5,000.
Not this frame, but the one in.
No,
Sol
the
Frank.
one, the original.
Okay.
The original, and
So
It
this would be
was-
called what? A copy.
M. Frank Cook's masterpiece.
Okay.
He painted it after seeing a postcard that inspired him with the castle and things.
So where's
You're
this?
coming into my living room right now, which is a mixture of antiques and modern. Over here on the wall is another one of my proud possessions, one of 5 known complete collections of American pigeon journals
Oh,
from 1920, bound volumes, all the way up to the last issue. You can see they're even down here, they're all in different colors. These books were extremely valuable in my research on the history of the Los Angeles Pigeon Club book and also the recent NPA history book. If I did not have access to these magazines, I could not have been able to write that book, either book.
so where's your book right now? Do you have one on display?
We've got some books here on the
No, what?
table.
There's one. Century, right? A centennial.
Now there's over here on my coffee table.
Oh.
You might, if you want to see the covers. The one on the far right, of course, is the first book that I did in 2011, the Los Angeles Pigeon Club's 100-year anniversary book. There were 22 of those made with leather-bound covers and medals on the cover. We had about 14 sponsors that put in $500 a piece, and they all got one of those special issues.
So this is your collection.
Yes, most of these antique paintings were the property of my mentor in pigeons, a man named John Beckman. When he died, he had no relatives, so they were left to me. And I've been able to enjoy these paintings on the wall and the Tiffany lamp and all these antiques that are on this bookshelf came from the Beckman estate.
You have several fantail things.
Yes. Fantail figurines are among the easiest ones to acquire because they seem to be collectible for non-pigeon people as well.
Oh, I see. And that's a jack of it.
There's one of my favorite little photographs of my daughter and myself when she's about 10 years old. She now, after 40 years away from pigeons, is raising pigeons again.
Okay. Anything else you want to share? What is it? The pigeon?
If you're interested in non-pigeon items, one of the things that I inherited from the Beckman estate here was an original photograph of Mark Twain with the captain of the Lusitania, who was related through marriage to John Beckman. That's the captain of the Lusitania on the left, and of course Mark Twain on the right. Twain traveled back and forth to England several times with the captain, and when they got to Connecticut, the captain invited Twain up to his home, and that's where that picture is taken.
In Hawaii, there's a street, Lusitania.
Yeah. That's a picture of the captain on the Lusitania.
Mm-hmm. So I see you got Lane Gardner's book.
Yes, excellent, up-to-date, modern book. Well written, a real tribute to Lane and a treasure for the American pigeon fancy.
And Hepner's book also, huh?
Oh, John Hepner's book as well. I was a history major in college, so I have a great deal of interest in history in general and pigeon history specifically.
Okay. So as of collection, sorry, this is it.
If you turn around, you'll even see a pigeon lamp. I don't think you see too many pigeon lamps.
Oh yeah.
That was an auction item at Lori Mueller's Hurricane Show in Utah one year.
And then she has those. That's what she's famous for too, right? Those awards.
Those are prizes that Lori painted on sandstone.
Mm-hmm. That's really cool. Okay. So that concludes our history lesson, or?
Well, there's one quite nice one here of a Jacobin that Dennis Soares had painted by Samantha Wendell. I purchased that in the LAPC auction for several $100s last year.
Oh, I remember that.
The antique paintings there are from the Beckman collection. That one's done in 1870. Beautiful antique gold leaf frame. All right, I'm going to take you into my newest addition. I had a near tragedy this past Labor Day where I had a toilet overflowed and water went into both bedrooms and the bathroom. We had to have them completely redone.
Okay.
So this room here now is new. Very few people have seen it. It's become my pigeon den.
What are you doing? Oh, wow. Okay. You want to go over it? Explain what's going on?
Those are all photograph albums and shows that I've been involved with for probably the last about 25 years. When it comes time to write articles, I'm able to go through those collections of photos and illustrate the article as well. This is another family heirloom. This is a beautiful old antique case. It's got a little mixture of different things in my life. Sports items in there. Antique catalogs. different types of pigeon figurines. This is a unique statue right here. This was done by a gentleman named Lane Bowles. And this fantail even has a pigeon band on it. Can you see that? I think that's pretty unique. The trumpeter figurines are having a blank right now on the author or on the artist on those.
So, can you explain the legacy cups?
Yes, this is one thing that I'm proud of. I came up with the idea of honoring deceased members of the Los Angeles Pigeon Club about 25 years ago. We call this the Legends of the Los Angeles Pigeon Club. And all of these men made great contributions to the LA Club. Each year, for the champion of the top 20 breeds at the pageant, we have a cup honoring people. The last two you can see up there, George Masucci and Chuck Zeller. I'm kind of proud of that complete collection, of none of them missing. Only 50 of them are done a year, so there's not a lot of those out. And they chronicleize the life of the man. They talk about his contributions to the breed of pigeon. And on one side is his picture, and on the other side is the breed that he raised. For example, this one is Decorative, and one of his favorite breeds was the turbot. Mm. So there's a picture of the breed, a description of his life's contributions to the pigeon hobby, and a picture of him. A wonderful way to remember these people when they're dead. Each year we put these cups out on display and people can come by and take a look at them and read the stories and relive the experiences that they might have had with these people. Of all these people up there, there was only one that I did not personally know, and that was Don Andrews. Mm. You might move down just a little bit. There's Mr. Andrews here. He was a little bit before my time, but all the others I knew well.
Can you talk about Bill?
Yeah.
You said Bill Pensum was.
Bill Pensum, of
he
course.
He was at LAPC. Yeah. A lot of roller guys.
At the age of 14, my dad had taken me out to Pensum's house for a number of years, and he gifted me with some high-flying Mascafield tipplers.
Oh, okay. And these are made from?
These are some figurines that were recently done by our good friend in
South
Africa.
And that's Diane Jackie's.
That's a Diane Jackie standard drawing.
100-year book.
Bicentennial history book, and then on the other side, the Los Angeles Pigeon Club history book.
St. Francis. And who is this?
That is a stuffed English trumpeter from 1975. You can see the development of the breed, how we've shortened it and improved the crest height, but there you have what the birds look like some 25, 30 years ago. This here is one of the few taxidermist English trumpeters in existence.
And is that just a regular bird, or is that like
it was a top showbird for that time period. Interestingly enough, it died in competition. Oh. Had a heart attack in the judging pen at Des Moines, Iowa.
And that's more Sherry?
Yeah.
Sherry's.
Those are Sherry Beadle Owen masterpieces.
The middle one also? The middle one is somebody else, huh?
Yeah, the one in the middle is from the Solfrank Museum. That's done about 1750. One of the early ancestors to the trumpeter.
And it's just more books. Okay. So we're hitting 25 minutes on this video. Anything else?
Well, these two paintings here are done by my dear friend Jacob Rewolski in Germany as well. And those are early winners of mine. This bird here on the left was called Old Warrior. He won the national championship at Costa Mesa. The first time we ever had over 200 English trumpeters. The year 1966. This was probably on the right, the first breakthrough bird that I had with a high crest. We call this red splash over here Royal Rose, and that shows the progression in about 10 years from the shorter crest feather to the higher crest feather.
And there's more jugs or mugs or steins.
Mostly German cups.
Wow. Okay.
This picture here was taken in 1963. This was a pageant champion of the 1960s. You can see the muff development was something that we had early on. As young kids, we had the feeling that the bigger the muffs, the better the bird. So before we really understood the standard, we were breeding for the biggest muff bird, and this was an example of what we came up with. And we've pretty much set that feature in the English trumpeter right now. So it was not a bad thing to do, because it's carried through to today. One other painting over here I'd like to point out is one that I just purchased in the LAPC Super Auction. This is done by Louis Fendel of France, and it's the champion overall powder at the 2015 National. Kathy Johnson's bird, bred by Lothar and Barbara Beer. You might want to get a close-up of that one. It's really quite an unusual one with all the clouds and everything in the background. Louis Fendel of France, the artist, and he's going to be doing some more work for our upcoming super auction.
Okay. Is that it?
I think you've got a pretty good tour of the memorabilia of Bob Nolan.
I guess.